Hello everyone. The past decade of e-navigation development has opened opportunities that has not yet been realized. Increase in size and number of vessels, decreased water space due to offshore installations, and a possible future development of unmanned autonomous ships will at some choke points eventually lead to a greater need for ship traffic organization. I will in this talk propose a tool called moving havens. Vessel traffic service is a defense barrier to prevent accidents from happening. James Reason in 1990 presented his so-called Swiss cheese model of accident causation. In this model, the cheese slices becomes a metaphor for defense barriers against an unsafe act that could cause an accident. Such an unsafe act might be the navigator falling asleep on his watch. Therefore, regulations say that during the dark hours, a lookout has to be present on the bridge. The lookout is a defense barrier against the watch officer falling asleep. But Swiss cheese slices has holes. Such a hole could be that the lookout commonly is sent down in the ship to make fire rounds and subsequently is not present on the bridge where the watch officer might fall asleep. That is why we need multiple defense barriers. VTS is another such barrier, another slice of cheese that might catch a mistake before it leads to an accident. But if these holes line up in an unfortunate way, a trajectory of accident opportunity might open up. This is what happened in Norway in November 2018. In the dark hours of November 8, the Norwegian Royal Navy frigate Helge Ingstad collided with a fully loaded 300-meter-long tank ship Sola Theas in a fjord outside Bergen on the Norwegian west coast. A completely unnecessary accident, I think most people would agree. Here comes a summary of the events leading up to the accident. You also have a link to the accident report on this slide. It is after midnight in the Hjelte Fjord northwest of Bergen in western Norway. It is 83 minutes to the accident. The Royal Navy's frigate Helge Ingstad is en route from an exercise in mid-Norway to a naval visit in Aberdeen, Scotland. Before leaving the Norwegian archipelago, inshore night navigation training is conducted with her bridge crew. At 2:38 in the morning, Helge Ingstad is approaching the northern boundary of Fedje VTS area, the green shaded area on this map. Being a Navy vessel, Helge Ingstad was not compelled to transmit AIS information, but the officer of the watch instead used his mobile phone to report his planned route, the red line on the map. On the map you also see the Sture oil terminal, close to which the accident happened. This is the situation at 3:13, 48 minutes before the accident. At the top of the map, the red symbol shows Helge Ingstad, southbound in 17 knots. There are some other north and southbound ships in the area shown by grey symbols. At the bottom of the map, you see the 300-meter-long oil tanker Sola Theas, the blue symbol, on the way to leave the Sture terminal. This is the situation half an hour later, 16 minutes before the collision. The tank ship Sola Theas has departed from berth and started a 180-degree port turn to get on her northerly course. Helge Ingstad is some 6 nautical miles to the north, steaming south. He is about to overtake a slower vessel on his port side. In the south, 3 more northbound vessels are visible as yellow symbols. At the same time, the 4 o'clock watch handover has started on the bridge of Helge Ingstad. This is the traffic situation at 3:51, 10 minutes before the accident. We see a screenshot from the radar of Sola Theas. The tanker is still turning. Her heading line is now pointing northeast. At the top of the screen, two echoes are approaching. This is Helge Ingstad, just about to overtake Dr. No, which is the other southbound vessel. Also note the two vessels approaching south of Solateas, Silverfrida and Vestbris. This slide shows a screenshot of a video recording from the bridge of Helge Ingstad's sister ship, the frigate Roald Amundsen, during a reconstruction of the event. The tanker Solateas also took part of the reconstruction and has her deck lights lit as during the night of the accident. The bridge view corresponds approximately to the situation 8 minutes before the collision. In the interviews conducted after the accident, the bridge crew of Helge Ingstad indicated that they had not identified the Solateas as a vessel on the way, but instead thought the brightly lit object visible outside the terminal area was some kind of static object or part of the terminal. At 3:58, 4 minutes before the collision, the pilot on Solateas called Fedje VTS asking, "Do you know what vessel is approaching towards us? She's slightly to the port." The operator at Fedje VTS hesitated. Have not received any information about it. It has not been reported to me. I only have an echo on the screen here." Sometime after receiving the first call from the pilot on Solateas, the VTS operator suddenly remembered that Helge Ingstad had previously, at 2:38 by mobile phone, notified on entering the VTS area. The VTS operator immediately called the pilot on Solateas and said, "It is possibly Helge Ingstad. He entered from the north a while ago. It could be he that is the one approaching." On this screenshot from the VTS radar image, we see Helge Ingstad to the north with no IIS information and Solateas ramping up speed on a north-northwesterly course, now having reached 6.5 knots. Also note the two northbound vessels on Solateas' starboard side and quarter. At 4 o'clock, 1 minute before the collision, the pilot on Solateas called Helge Ingstad and requested, "Turn starboard if you are the one approaching." The officer of the watch on Helge Ingstad replied, "A few degrees to starboard as soon as we passed the platform on our starboard side." He later indicated in the interviews with the Accident Investigation Board that he thought he was talking to one of the northbound vessels on his port bow. These vessels are not visible on this chart from the accident report. At 4:01, Solateas and Helge Ingstad collided, resulting in the subsequent sinking and total loss of the frigate. No lives were spilled and no serious damage to the environment was reported. The officer of the watch of Helge Ingstad, only in the final seconds, realized that the object was in fact a vessel underway. He claimed he never saw the navigation light, blinded by the strong deck lights of Solateas. The Accident Investigation Board of Norway concluded that organization, leadership and teamwork on the bridge of Helge Ingstad were not expedient. Also, that the shipping company of Solateas had not established compensatory safety measures with regards to the reduction of visibility of the navigation lights due to deck lighting. And that the lack of monitoring by the VTS meant that the operator's situational awareness and overview of the VTS area were inadequate. Further, that the functionality of the monitoring system with regards to automatic plotting, warning and alarm functions were not sufficiently adapted to the execution of the vessel traffic service. The Norwegian Coastal Administration had not established human, technical and organizational barriers to ensure adequate traffic monitoring. I will in the following discuss some potential adaptations to enhance the situation awareness in the VTS based on findings from previous e-navigation projects. For a number of years, research into what the IMO has defined as e-navigation services has been conducted. I have taken part of a number of these research projects that are shown here. In these projects, we have investigated several technical means by which new safety barriers can be shaped, and how these can be designed to increase human performance and effectiveness. One of these services is called route exchange. Every ship is by IMO regulations required to make a voyage plan from berth to berth. This voyage plan resides electronically in the ship's navigation system. Before departure, the voyage plan can be automatically checked for underkeel clearance and other dangers. As the ship sails, the navigator can, on his electronic map, the ECDIS, watch his own ship symbol move along the line depicting his voyage plan, and thus make sure he is on his planned and safety-checked route. However, this plan is not shared with anyone, and route exchange simply means sharing of voyage plans, so that, for instance, a VTS operator can also see if a ship is on track, or if maybe a navigator has fallen asleep and is out of course, as was mentioned in the beginning of this talk. This might prevent single points of failure, as two or more eyes see better than just one pair. But a voyage plan normally only contains the planned route's geographical features. If the waypoints were also to contain a planned passing time, we would get the time dimension into the system, allowing us to predict not only the intended route of a ship, but also its planned location for each moment. Let us now visualize this time dimension by a box moving in the ECDIS according to the timed voyage plan. Now, the navigator can see his ship, positioned by GNSS, traveling inside the moving haven, which represents his timed voyage plan. He can see that he is on track and on time. Should he fall out of the box for some reason, strong headwinds or engine trouble, there will be an alarm and something needs to be done. Either get back into the box or recalculate the voyage plan. Such timed voyage plans can also be transmitted as mandatory traffic organization service by the VTS. The point is that if such a timed voyage plan and other ships' timed voyage plans are shared with the VTS, a VTS operator can use the time slider shown bottom left here to detect potential collision situations. This, looking forward, can of course also be done automatically, warning for collisions ahead of time. This is the proposed safety barrier that could have helped the VTS operator in the Helge Ingstad case. Moving havens has been technically tested in sea trials in Korea in 2014. In this case, the own vessel is the Mokpo Maritime Academy's training ship Sainuru, here far to the north of the haven. Take a closer look at this slide after my presentation. Route exchange has been studied in practical experiments in the Axis project, here with navigators, pilots and VTS operators in the Humber Estuary in 2015. Details of the concept is outlined, for instance, in the paper found following the link here. Thank you for listening.